few weeks ago, was it 3 or 4 weeks ago? We were at the very start. We were very excited. Maybe first one game played, a lot of attention, a lot of press, big crowds. Is it still as exciting without that launch razzmatazz?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously the launch gave it a big push, but looking at how things have been going so far, there's been some good football being played. It's tight at the top, and attendances have been pretty. I think they've tailed off a little bit, but generally they've been pretty solid throughout.
And marquee players, that seems to be the term used a lot for the sort of big foreign names, the ageing foreign names that have come to the league. How are they getting on? Is anyone particularly impressing, or are they all just ready for the scrap heap?
Well, you've got a bit of a mixture. You've got the likes of ex-Manchester City midfielder Elano, who's playing for Chennai, and he is banging them in. He's got the he's on course for the Golden Boot. He's got the I think you get to wear a special armband if you're the top scorer as well. A little golden armband.
So everyone can kick you.
Yeah,
Special armband.
Marks you out for defenders.
So he scored about pretty much. He scored about 5 or 6 goals, a couple of free kicks, which have been brilliant. And also David James has done all right. Hasn't kept a clean sheet yet, but he has pulled off one of the saves of the tournament so far. So they've been doing pretty well. Luis Garcia's doing all right for Atletico de Kolkata, who are top of the league at the moment, or joint top. We'll touch on that in a moment. But then at the other end of the spectrum, you've got Freddie Ljungberg, who hasn't really done a great deal, and he's just picked up an injury, so he probably won't be featuring much for the duration.
Wasn't his injury keeping him out from the start of the season?
Yeah, he had a bit of injury at the start, and then he came on as a sub and picked up another injury. So things aren't going too well for him. And I think Robert Pires is struggling as well. Yeah. Might have something to do with the fact that he's 41.
And he's getting punched in the face.
And he's allegedly getting punched in the face.
Allegedly, sorry, getting punched in the face. Yeah.
And getting suspended for it as as apparently.
Yeah, well,
so, boy.
Yeah, well, it happened at half time. It was a match between FC Goa and Kolkata, and the coach of Atletico just bopped him in the face in the tunnel at half time. Bit of a.
There's no good video of it though at all, actually.
Believe me, we've been searching.
It's all whispers.
We've been on YouTube for the last 3 hours trying to find it.
It's not there. You had to be there. It's like the pizza incident in the tunnel at Old Trafford.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to be there.
So who's bossing it? Top of the table, we're halfway through, as I say.
So as we touched on there, we've got Atletico de Kolkata. Look, I can never say that.
It's a tricky one.
At the top, bit of a tongue twister. They're top. They are now joint top with Marco Materazzi's Chennai. We're both top on 12 points, and just behind them are FC Pune City, with David Trezeguet spearheading their attack. Who are a point behind. So Kolkata have been at the top pretty much throughout, and Chennai have been sort of edging towards them. There was a real big game today between Chennai and Pune City, and the winner would have gone top. They ended up playing out a 1-1 draw. Chennai also had a recent 1-1 draw with North East United. So they've missed a couple of chances to go top. So it means it's very, very tight.
And off the pitch, or 2 metres off the pitch, crowds. How are they generally looking?
Looking good. So it differs from sort of which sources you look at, but generally you get an average of about 20 to 25,000 people a game, which is actually higher than the average, I think, of the A-League, MLS, the J-League as well, and maybe the K-League and the Chinese Super League in 2014.
I think it's 5th highest in the world at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and I think you'd have to caveat that a bit because Kolkata are getting, on average, 50,000 people a game. So, and they're already a big footballing centre, so that's really going to drag the average up. But the most interesting thing is that there are teams that come from places that aren't necessarily traditionally footballing centres. Like I think in Delhi they're getting around 15,000 average. Mumbai's getting 23,500. Chennai, where Chennai in play, is I think about 20,000. So the interesting thing is that these aren't big footballing centres. Like we always knew Kolkata were going to get big crowds.
This is what ISL's trying to do, though, right? This is trying to promote these places that weren't previous footballing centres.
Exactly. So now it's great to see they've got those crowds there, but now it's just a case of if they can sustain it and whether it is a novelty or if people will still keep going to games. I mean, you read reports, and I saw a quote from an Indian guy who's a big football fan. I think he watches all Arsenal games, and he was saying how you go to a game in the evening. It's a game every evening at 7 o'clock, which is quite nice, so people can go after work. It doesn't finish too late. And he was saying a lot of people go there for an evening out and to take a selfie, basically. Yeah. And he was saying that from a football fan's point of view, he's used to European football and he finds it a little bit mediocre.
It's a similar sort of...
Chaps, we'll come back to it in just one moment. But first of all, we're now going to go to an interview that Paul kindly pre-recorded for us, and we get a sense, reading around, we get a sense of the impact of the Indian Super League so far on the Indian audience, the Indian nation. But what better to do than actually speak to someone who's Indian themselves, moreover someone who's actually coaching in India. That is the head coach at Indian second division side Garhwal FC.
So the Indian second division is obviously the division below the ISL at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's three divisions and they don't work together yet. So you have the I-League 2, the I-League, and then the ISL. So the I-League is a league, whereas the ISL is this mad tournament which is going on just now.
Okay, and so from your point of view, as a kind of a Scottish coach coming to India, what was that like as an experience? I mean, how long have you been there, and what's it been like?
I've been here for nearly 18 months, and it's very, very different. That's the first thing I have to say. Like, the way professional football clubs are run here, I think, is largely how you would probably run amateur or semi-professional clubs at home, in the way that things are done. In Garhwal, we're very lucky that we've got two good owners, and they want to do it very professionally, get the right people in and that sort of thing. But like, I work mainly in grassroots football, as well as with the first team of Garhwal, and things that would normally exist in Britain, like you have youth leagues in every region or town, whatever. So I come from Scotland, so there's a Perth League, a Dundee League, an Edinburgh League, blah, blah, blah. In India, we don't have youth leagues at all. They just have tournaments all over the country, and kids have to travel to these tournaments, and they're often decided by kids who are 2 or 3 years older. So there's a lot of structural problems as well as just organisational problems, and obviously cricket's the biggest sport in the country, so that it's changing now, and it will probably be the other way around in 10 years.
Do you think is it already having a massive impact, the kind of Indian Super League, and is that making a difference from what you can see?
I can say yes, because we do work with Delhi Dynamos, so the Delhi franchise of the ISL. So what all the clubs have agreed to doing is, I think they're paying £60,000 or 60 lakhs each, and they're investing that every season in grassroots football. So you have things like football development officers who go into schools, who do coaching. They then go into organising tournaments, which means that they eventually develop a scouting pool from that for kids who can join the professional academies further down the line. So that's, in terms of the grassroots development, you have that aspect of it. But because there's a much, much higher level of player playing in the ISL, and professionalism and the unbelievable marketing, football's now reaching people who are not interested in football previously. So people who would never really have been interested in the I-League have been taken a little bit of a hold by the ISL purely because of marketing. Like, I was speaking to a guy in the gym yesterday, and he was saying, like, his family's all cricket. They like cricket, they go to watch Delhi I don't even know what they're called. Delhi Daredevils, I think they're called. So they're now going to every ISL game, and the interest in football is much, much bigger purely because of the ISL. And I think if they keep doing it every year, then it'll grow massively.
Do you think are you getting kind of a local kids going to come through, and a local Indian players going to come in and take the reins of the league? Because at the moment there's a lot of foreign, sort of older foreign players.
Yeah, I think the first thing they had to do was bring eyes to the country and eyes to the game. So they've brought guys like that are world-like names like Pires, so, and recognisable names like David James and stuff like that. Zico's a coach, but every club has to have, I think it's at least 4 Indians on the field at any one time. So that Indians playing. Most of the time there'll be no more than 5 Indians playing on the field, because the standard between the Indian players and the foreigners, there is a bit of a gulf, if we're being honest. But I've seen for myself in the under 18 months I've been here that there is a massive talent pool. There's just when the kids get to 15, 16, the coaching level that they need to progress from 15 years old to professional football isn't good enough. And I think with the ISL and the introduction of having football development officers, the talent base will be bigger at the bottom, and then the coaching's getting better towards the top. So there is a talent pool there. The ISL will help develop that because the clubs are investing in professional academies, and then the coaching should get better. So it's a little bit complicated, but because there are Indian players playing that are doing well in the ISL, hopefully that makes the national team better, because not all of the best national team players even play in the national team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Some of the players who should be in the national team are not in it.
Is that for political reasons, or like, is that to do with the coach?
I don't think that the head coach. I don't think that the head coach had 100% control in choosing the team, if I'm being honest. And I haven't spoken to him or met him, and he's now left. But there's players who are in the national team who should never be near it. And there's players who are not in the national team who should be starting because they're some of the best players. So for me, that's maybe internal politics rather than selection from the coach. So the national team should be better than what it is because the players are there. They're just not always being selected for whatever reason.
So, like, from your point of view, do you think India's national team should be much higher up in the rankings, or is it just kind of a long-term goal?
I don't know if I would say much higher than India, like 157. If they were close to 120th, then that would be fair for where they are just now. I think that's where they should be, and I think the aim with the ISL and the grassroots development, which is occurring here, that within 10 years they should be in the top 100. But that entirely depends on the best players being chosen and obviously winning matches at an international level.
Well, thanks for finding the time to chat to us, and all the very best in India. And looking forward to seeing where you go next.
Thanks. Pleasure.